A brand of amp, if any do for pretty much anything prior to about 1970 is probably my favorite. I have a ton of vintage amps. I have a lot of really cool old Sun amps. I have a real soft spot for those. My main amps, honestly, were built by our techs at Bees. Um, so, the newer stuff, back then a lot of the stuff was all point to point. It was a lot more hand built, and people still call things hand built and point to point. And it's not as much as it used to be. I mean, a lot more stuff is kind of made to look like it was older than it is really made like it was older. But of the newer stuff, I really like a lot more of the PV stuff because at least PV's not corporate anymore. Harley PV definitely like puts a little more care into his amps, I think, than some of the other people do anymore. But again, that's super subjective. But like I said, usually tube amps older are personally what I use. Master volume, no channel switching. Usually no reverb. I mean, just like a volume bass mid treble, and usually that will be the amp that I will choose 9 times out of 10. So. But branding's another thing where it's like, as soon as you brand and like a brand, you've blinded yourself to lots of really cool stuff. I mean, most of the stuff I've got are like random and weird things, and people always come over to my house and play through all my guitars and amps, and they think they're all cool, and a lot of them they've never heard of, and a lot of them are virtually worthless. So, and usually it'll be some of the coolest stuff a lot of people's ever seen. So, I don't know. I think branding is blinders, and, my ears and hands have told me a lot of really cool stuff that I would have never known had I been obsessed with one thing or another. Number 17, what is the most important thing to look for when buying an electric guitar? It should just fit your hands. I mean, you should be able to pick it up, put it in there, just play it, and it should speak to you. I mean, you should be able to feel the neck should feel comfortable, it should feel correct for you. It should be tonally right. I mean, when you're first buying an electric guitar, you're starting out, you're not really going to know what you like. And I think everyone should own 3 or 4 electric guitars, not just because I sell them, but because I think that, I mean, it just, different guitars fit different styles. I mean, sometimes I'm in a mood for one of my guitars, and then, like, I have this one guitar that I built out of junk from the garage of our store, and it's just like my punk rock guitar. It's covered in stickers, has one blues P90 single coil in it that's about that big, and I just like use that guitar to just rock out. But the big thing is just to play a lot of guitars and listen to which ones speak to you. Don't look at price. And the other thing is, get the money and then just kind of wait and play a lot and play a lot and play a lot, and you'll find a guitar you like. And then in 6 months, you'll find a guitar you like better, and you probably get that one too. I think having sort of a stable of them is definitely better, and you'll start having 2 or 3, and you'll start really learning what to like, and you'll get better at figuring out what you like. But everything's different for different people, and I've seen people that have guitars that are 180 of what I think they should like, and I don't know if they've talked themselves into it or if that's really what they like. And either way, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's whatever you like and you have fun with is the important thing. 18, what is the most important thing to look for in buying an amp? That again fits the person. I mean, if you're a big metal person, having a big, distortion, but distortions are a thing you can get in a pedal. I always like tube amps, but I think, look at your budget. I mean, I would definitely put more money into a guitar than I would into an amp. An amp you can always upgrade later. But I would think, if it sounds the way you like, or if, you get a couple of pedals you like and can stick them in front of there. I mean, some people are going to dig, more of kind of a clean tube amp. Some people are going to, want a distorted tube amp. Some people are going to want, that kind of buzzsaw, solid state sound. I mean, the big thing to do is to play a lot of stuff and, listen to what kind of gives you the tone of the style of music you're playing. And that may not be the same style that, your hero is getting paid to endorse in magazines. The best thing to do is just play stuff and play the guitar that you've chosen through an amp, and then play it through 5 or 6 other amps and see which one you really like. But if I say anything with amps, I would say get a tube amp. There's a reason every pro musician uses a tube amp. I mean, they just sound great, and they don't break down the signal into little digital bits and then stack it back together. It's analog from one end to the other, and they're fantastic. How often should you change your strings? Number 19. I usually say every 6 weeks, but it really, when they start getting rusty or they start, a lot of times when I need to know, my hands don't sweat hardly at all when I play guitar. Strings for me can last 6 months. Jordan, at works at the store, hands sweat like crazy. If he can get a week and a half out of a set of strings, he is ecstatic. So, it depends on the person, depends on your sweat. Some people's sweat is corrosive, and some people's just doesn't seem to affect them at all. So it really kind of depends on your body chemistry a lot, which sounds kind of weird. And, you should kind of like wipe down the fretboard and stuff when you have them off. Some people let all that grime and finger goo kind of sit in there, and that will kind of preemptively age guitar or age strings. But, I usually grab the G string and kind of pinch it and run up it, and if it feels bumpy, that means it's rusty, it's time to go. But your ears will also tell you when they stop sounding good, and they kind of start, the sustain lowers, they lose their brightness, But I'd say as a general rule of thumb, probably about every 6 weeks, but sometimes less, sometimes more. Do I have any advice for beginning guitarist? Get outside of your box a lot. Try, try to push yourself. Listen to music you don't normally listen to. Try to play styles that you don't play normally. A lot of that stuff will make you a lot better player and will let you see kind of what I was talking about earlier, kind of the building blocks of music, and see how kind of everything works, not just how, a lot of people, they get into this 80s rock or this metal thing and everything else sucks, and then, they never develop as players. Whereas like a lot of the people that play a multitude of styles definitely get better faster and usually have tastier chops for it, because some of those guys, that will learn how to play like chicken pick and country licks just for fun, and then they'll play in metal bands, and then they pull out that lick really fast, distorted. It sounds really cool, and a lot of people never recognize it from another genre, and that is, I think, really cool stuff, at least personally for me. And I'd also say, back to the branding thing, don't brand yourself. You're just slowing yourself down. And really, had I, like I say, I would have never found Reverend, which I have 2 guitars by Reverend back when they were like a super high-end custom shop that had I not, paid attention to do the branding, I would have missed out on the 2 best instruments of my whole life. And I didn't really think that much of them until I played them, and it blew me away. So there you go. Hope that helps, and I hope it wasn't too rambling. I thought maybe a video would be the best way to do this. So mostly because I don't think I could have typed that much. And hopefully you get some good quotes in there, and hopefully your project turns out great. And I am going to go finish my Sunday and pet my kitty in the head and do all my chores. So, because I have to work tomorrow. So let's see if I can figure out how to turn this off. 24 minutes. Wow. I can ramble. That's really what you just learned. But hey, have fun. Hope this helps.